What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Downtime Re-Up. Today, I have a different guest next to me that y'all haven't seen before. My brother. Say hello.
Yo,
Xavier and George were busy this week, so had to compromise and still try to make an episode for y'all and have somebody else with me so that it's just not me talking, so I can bounce some ideas off of somebody else. So I decided to bring my brother who he knows a little bit about a little bit here and there. So it's not, the end of the world. And it gives him an opportunity to speak his mind to the world to let everybody know what he's thinking.
I know more about sports than this dude right here, right?
He doesn't.
Don't
He
believe anything
doesn't.
he says.
He doesn't. So moving forward, the first thing that we're going to go over today is, well, if you're an NBA fan of any type, you would know that Luka Doncic just scored a 70 bomb on the Atlanta Hawks, the team that passed. Well, they didn't pass on him. The team that traded him on draft day to the Dallas Mavericks with what was at the time deemed a fair trade. But looking at it now, Trae Young isn't even close to the caliber of player that Luka is. You would have, you know, if you have like six tiers in the NBA, Luka's probably in the first tier and the top of the first tier, and Trae's probably near the bottom of the second tier. So, what did you think about Luka's performance?
Uh, he definitely had to carry the load for his team because they weren't playing well as good as they should have been, especially Tim Hardaway. He
Mm-hmm.
was throwing up a couple bricks, like building a house out there or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. Tim was terrible, man. And last night when I was watching the game, we all have a group chat. Me, my brother, Xavier, and George, and all I was saying was get Tim Hardaway Jr. off my team. As good as it is to have Tim Hardaway Jr. go off some games, we need somebody who's going to be consistent and somebody who's going to give you those points every night on good shooting. Going 3 for 12 and scoring 13 points isn't ideal at all, especially when you have Luka Doncic on your team. Giving you 75% of your shots are going to be open shots because of Luka. So it's just very disappointing with Tim. We go through this every single time. He'll redeem himself. Probably here in a game or two, he'll go off for like 25 on 60% shooting from three or something like that, and we'll be like, oh, maybe he can stay around. But the reality of it is, we need somebody who's consistent on both sides of the floor, not just one. Because Tim is only a scorer. Defensively wise, he's pretty average and at times below average.
I think we should cut Tim some slack though, cause he did kind of go crazy whenever Luca was out, and it was just him and Kyrie, and they had like what an 80 bomb together combined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that game was crazy. He was making all his shots, and Kyrie was doing what Kyrie does whenever Luca's out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that's great coming from Tim. And my problem with it is I expect consistency with the money that we're paying him. Tim isn't on some cheap little contract. He's getting some decent money that's taking up quite a bit of our cap. Me personally, I would prefer somebody like PJ Washington, great 3-and-D guy, pretty consistent for the most part, is on the Hornets, which is definitely a team that has on the low right now, and I feel like would be willing to give up some pieces to get more draft capital, or maybe just a player of veteran leadership like Tim Hardaway Jr. And I also think that I have lost my patience with Jaden Hardy.
Yeah, coming into the season, I thought that Jaden Hardy would have like Kyrie Irving would have taught him some stuff in the off season. And I thought he was gonna be the next Kyrie. To be honest, they have the same build. They're both short guards, but how he's been playing recently or the whole season has not lived up to the standard that he had last season.
Yeah, I mean, and I thought for a second there that Hardy found his stride. He was lighting it up from three. He was making passes. He wasn't really trying to make more than of what he should. But whenever he does do that and he drives, it just looks like he's throwing up whatever shot that he can find, like he's playing at the park or something like that, you know? When in reality, this is an NBA game, an NBA atmosphere, and you can't just be chunking up whatever just because you feel like it. There'd be some crazy layups he goes for, which would be awesome if he can make them, but he doesn't have the ability to do that. Hardy just doesn't have it in his bag. And does he have the athleticism? No doubt. Can he shoot on his night? That's for sure. But I don't know, man. At 21 years old and Luca and Kyrie's contracts here coming to an end soon, I feel like we need to make a move to win now, and we don't have the time to let Hardy develop, sadly enough.
Yeah, I think Jaden Hardy putting Jaden Hardy and if Tim Hardaway doesn't pick it up after this game and plays like this the rest of the season, should go into a trade package together for
Hmm.
sure. For maybe as someone that can help out Luca and Kyrie, because I do believe that that duo still could work.
For
Uh,
sure, yeah.
Especially in the playoffs. They didn't reach it their last season because of that end game, that end of the season run they had with all those losses.
Yeah.
But Kyrie can definitely he turns into something different in the playoffs whenever he's not injured and perfectly healthy.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we see this from Luca. Like these numbers that Luca puts up during the regular season aren't just regular season numbers. We've seen Luca Doncic in the playoffs, and we've seen the kind of beast that comes out. Just the problem is that his role players have never shown up. But me personally, I feel like after this last game, Grant Williams is stepping a little bit more into his own a little bit. He still didn't look great, but definitely a little bit better than we were seeing in the past games. DJJ went down with an injury, and DJJ, I still feel like a great role player for us. No issues with DJJ. Josh Green definitely had a great game. Fantastic from the three, fantastic from the field. Just all around a great game from Josh Green, being able to show up even while Luca's going off for 73. So, I mean, I feel like this starting lineup that we put out there, those are the only players that should be, I wouldn't say untouchable, but should be harder to let go of. Not everybody on that bench, Rashawn Holmes, Tim Hardaway Jr., Jaden Hardy, Morris, Seth Curry, all of them can go. All of them can go in a trade package. I could care less, you know? So only untouchables, I would say, is Luca, Lively, Kyrie, and hold on a little bit harder to Grant, DJJ, Josh Green, and Exum. But if the opportunity arises to get a third star or something close to it, those are players that you can also let go of. But the only three untouchables: Luca, Kai, Derek Lively.
Yeah, for sure. Seth Curry, he's whenever we got him at the start of the season,
Yeah.
before the season started, it was I had high hope. We all had high hopes for him in the group chat that we had.
Hmm.
But he's just like he can't hit at all. That's probably why uh we're not Jason Kidd's not playing him.
Yeah.
He's just not as great. He's not even 1% of what his brother is. To be honest, his brother is an all-time
Yeah.
great, and he's an all-time random.
Yeah, I mean, Curry, just like THJ, is just out there to hit shots. And the only thing with that Curry is his defense is way worse than THJ, and that's saying something considering THJ is pretty average to below average at times, and is not nearly as athletic as THJ. So then you just have a shooter who can't shoot. So then what's the point of playing him? You know? So I think that coming here on the trade deadline, moves have to be made. You have a lot of bodies here that are pretty useless towards the team, and I have a lot of players that I'm pretty sure would shine playing with somebody like Luka Doncic. Because even though he put up 73 points, he could have easily had a triple double. If only his teammates would have made shots, made layups. Which Josh Green was one of those people who missed a layup, wide open, oh, pretty wide open layup, and he missed it. It rimmed out, and that's just things that can't happen. Luka Doncic is that type of player that is gonna make any average player look better than he is, and even a below average player look at least average. I can guarantee you, whenever most of these people leave this team, for example, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, they don't even look average anymore. We put them back with Luka Doncic, then they look like average, above average players like Spencer Dinwiddie and DFS were before we traded him. DFS was considered one of the top 3 and D guys, and Dinwiddie was a number two, high number three option for most teams. But now Dinwiddie barely looks like a low end number three option, and DFS has kind of just faded into nothingness. So I mean, I actually wouldn't mind getting DFS back though. We know what he can be with Luca.
Yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie at the Mavericks, he definitely improved from before when he was at the Nets before they got him. He ever since he got traded, he hasn't even looked the same. I don't know why. They gave him like the handle of the Nets over there with that trade, and he just hasn't been able to do anything. I guess I haven't heard nothing from the Nets in the league. Like no, they haven't been making no ruckus or anything like that. That's probably because he's turned into a role player, even though he's supposed to be the star player on their team.
Yeah, and that's what it seems like. A lot of the times nowadays, all I see is that that Dinwiddie's just not it anymore. All I see is people saying that Dinwiddie's fallen off. He has one of the lowest field goal percentages. A lot of Nets fans have turned on DFS as well. So it's just like, you know what? If you don't want him, we'll take him back. But we're not going to be giving up like something crazy. So, um, I just think some moves need to be made before the trade deadline, and the sooner the better. We saw it indicative last time with whenever we got Kyrie. Kyrie's a fantastic player, and there's no doubt about it. But getting Kyrie and Luka to try to get along from the trade deadline and on is really, really hard when you're asking two players who are used to having the ball in their hands and are used to two very different play styles to get along and to lead a team into the playoffs. And not only that, but have success in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, as we saw with how Kyrie and the super team at the Nets went, where it was just the ISO team basically. They even though they were injured most of the time they were together, they barely got any wins together because there was just no like communication with anything because they were all just trying to ISO, and they couldn't win games like that. With how Luca is, he wants to average a triple double, so he gets those assists. But Kyrie wants the ball in his hands and he wants to make plays
Mm-hmm.
because that's just the type of player he is. He's a highlight reel on the court.
Yeah, and I think that the coach might be a little bit of a problem at the same time. I don't mind the way that they're playing with Luca and Kyrie starting out. Kyrie goes out, Luca stays in, then Luca goes out and Kyrie comes back in, and then they kind of come back in together more towards the fourth quarter. I kind of don't mind that, but I kind of think that the role players that are played with Luca and with Kyrie need to be changed in order to fit that play style that both of them like to play. You know, it's more than just trying to separate Luca and Kyrie, but it's about getting them the right role players around them to be able to succeed when they are on the floor. So I think that Jason Kidd really struggles with that. I think Jason Kidd struggles with keeping a lead for sure. And obviously, that's not just on him; that's on the players as well. But it's your job to put the players in the best position to keep that lead. So whenever the other team's on a 10-0 run, it doesn't mean just stand there and let the players fight through it, because that hasn't worked for the last year. Clearly, take a timeout, make a good play, allow us to get a bucket and gain some momentum. But it just seems like Jason Kidd really struggles to do that.
Yeah, Jason Kidd, he goes out there and for the whole first half, he does a great job with how he constructs the offense and defense. Derek Lively, of course, helping out with the defense a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but in the second half, something happens, and he must have like choose the wrong game plan every single game, cause they're up at halftime most of the time. Then they just lose by a large deficit by double digits most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that the Mavericks have had their widest margin of wins and losses ever. They've had, I think, more than 15 wins or losses by, I think, 15 games or more or something like that. It's something crazy because a lot of the times you expect in the NBA, especially with Mavericks that are a pretty at least average team and have a superstar like Luka and Kyrie, games will at least be close regardless of who you're playing because you're not a bottom of the barrel team that should be getting blown out. But the reality of it is that we're either blowing people out or we're getting blown out most of the time. And that shouldn't be the case at all. We should be in the position to either, I mean, I guess blowing out teams is okay, but we should never be getting blown out. We should at least be in the position to be able to make the game a close game. But it always seems like we struggle to do that in the second half. Very rarely do I see in the first half us getting blown out completely. Sometimes we get outplayed a little bit, but Luka will keep us in the game. But then it's the Jason Kidd's job to change the game plan because clearly it's not working, and you can't just run through Luka and expect him to carry you to a win every single night. And even last night, Jason Kidd was like, he is the game plan, he is the play style. Well, that's great. That's fantastic. He is an amazing player. He's a superstar. But at the same time, you need another game plan or play style that's going to work whenever Luka Doncic isn't able to carry your whole team to a win on a nightly basis.
Yeah, Luca posted yesterday about his 70-point game and how the Mavericks it was a special team win. And Drewski commented on their special team. You scored 70 of them damn points. That was really funny because it's true. I mean, you can't call a team special if you're scoring 70 points. You're basically the team at that point.
Yeah, and for me, I saw that a comment or a stat that said that Luca was involved in over 100 of the points that we scored. That is insane. That's ridiculous. That any player, he had the second greatest game of NBA history, or in the last like 50 years or something like that, and we won by 5. You know how crazy that is? Second greatest game, only below Jordan's game, one of Jordan's games, and we barely won the game. It's just not good enough. At least we're not Devin Booker and the Suns though. They lost and he scored like 60 something points. But Devin Booker's trash. That's why.
Yeah, those other teams like that happened all week with the Phoenix Suns, the Timberwolves, where they had players go for 60 and they lost. That's like that's just bad, man. That's bad. That's bad rain. I ain't finna cat, though.
Yeah, man. It's so funny because I saw something that said that every time Devin Booker has scored more than I think it was 53 points, they've lost every single game. But that's because whenever Devin Booker scores 53 points, he's just shooting, he's just scoring. He just wants to get that many points without getting his team involved. And Luka has the ability to score that many points and get his teammates involved and be on the boards and still play decent defense because Luka is a top 3 player in the league, regardless of the night. You very, very, very rarely see Luka either held below 20 or held below 20 and like 10 assists. That's something you almost never see. And that's a stat I actually want to look up. Has Luka actually ever been held below 20 points and 10 assists? It might be one or the other, but I think it's very rarely both. Because whenever Luka can't score, he can always create.
I don't think Luca has gone a single game, playing the whole game, and gone under 20 points. He's just way special than Devin Booker. Devin Booker has a whole team. He has KD,
Yeah.
Bradley Beal, Nurkic, and he loses a game where he drops 60 because he's just ball hogging the whole game.
Yeah.
Like I don't believe Devin Booker should be the number one guy on that team. It should definitely be Kevin Durant. It's an all-time great scorer.
No doubt. Yeah.
And I don't know why Devin Booker feels like he has to put it on his hands when he has a guy like that on his team. Like, definitely, I would say the greatest scorer of all time.
Yeah, for sure, debatably the greatest scorer of all time. But we're gonna move on to our NFL playoff predictions, which so far we've gotten every single game right except for the Cowboys game. So if y'all been following our picks, y'all would have been making a whole bunch of money, and you could have let your friends know you could have been making a whole bunch of money. But I think that these last 2 games, we talked about it on the last podcast, me and Xavier, but now I'm going to talk about it with me and Carson. But I feel like we're going to be pretty in agreement of who we think's gonna win these games. I'm just gonna go ahead and say who's gonna win these two games, and then he'll say who's gonna win these two games, and then we'll kind of talk about it a little bit. But I'm feeling the Niners and the Ravens.
I think it's gonna be the Lions and the Ravens.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I I think that regardless of who wins these games, the AFC is gonna be winning the Super Bowl. I think that the Niners are a great team. I think that if they had a elite quarterback, they would be the best team in the league. But they don't. And the Lions, same thing. I think if the Lions had an elite quarterback, they could be the best team in the league. But they don't. You know what the other side has? Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, debated to be the two best quarterbacks in the league at this moment. So I I think that that AFC game is gonna be practically the Super Bowl. Whoever wins that game is gonna win the Super Bowl. And if I'm being honest, I would like the Lions to beat the Niners just because I know they're not gonna win the Super Bowl. And so the Niners for sure can't win the Super Bowl because if you're a Cowboys fan, you just hate the Niners. It's been a thing since the '90s. The Niners is a team that we don't enjoy. But I think that in terms of picking this without any bias, I'm gonna have to pick the Niners over the Lions.
Without any bias, like at all, I swear, the Lions are gonna crush the 49ers. The 49ers barely got out of a game with the Green Bay Packers, and I understand that the Cowboys got blown out by the Packers, but Jordan Love, like, that throw at the end, like, he could have won that game for sure against the 49ers.
Yeah, that was a terrible crossbody to the middle of the field. I mean, that's you knew as soon as that left his hands that that was it. You're never supposed to do that in the league. That's like one of the first things they teach you, and it's one of the things. It's something that me and Carson know. You just don't throw across your body to the middle of the field because there's a 90% chance if you're Patrick Mahomes, there's a 90% chance it's gonna get picked off. A 99% chance if you're Jordan Love that it's gonna get picked off,
Yeah,
or at least you know incomplete if you're lucky.
it must be a Green Bay thing, cause Brett Favre did that a lot too. He just threw up those like not even 50-50. There's like 100% chance it's getting picked.
Yeah,
That's why he's the leading passing yards though, cause he threw up those balls. That's what he was going for.
yeah, he's a gunslinger.
But Jordan Love is he's a pocket presence. Like he doesn't. I've never seen him run. He rarely runs.
Hmm.
Um, but Lions are taking this, especially with the way that they put away the Bucks. Even though I do believe the Bucks should have won that game if it wasn't for Baker Mayfield throwing that ball at the end.
Yeah, that ball from Baker was terrible, man. The defender was just sitting there waiting for it. I don't know how he didn't see it, but that's indicative of not having an elite quarterback. Is Baker a good quarterback? Baker is a good quarterback, That's for sure. Top 15 maybe in the league. Um, but Baker isn't one of those guys that's going to take your team down the field and win the game for you with your playoffs on the line, unfortunately.
Yeah, that defender read that ball perfectly, and that was just a bad read on Baker Mayfield's part. Like he just threw it down the middle, right at the defender, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lions, I think the Lions did deserve that win, even though what was his name, Dan Campbell, their coach,
Mm-hmm.
he's a crack addict because he just goes out there and calls a whole bunch of like it could be third down and he'll put the special teams out there to go for a fake.
Yeah, and then they had Damar Hamlin run the ball on 4th and 5. Like, at least put the offense back out there if that's what you're gonna do on 4th and 5. It doesn't make any sense. If you really need to go for it and it's like a 4th and 10, then okay, maybe try the fake punt. But it's 4th and 5 and your plan is to go for it. Why are you putting? Oh wait, that's the Bills. I don't know why
Yeah,
I'm talking about that. Anyways, I wanted to talk about too though. Why did the Bills do that? Like with Damar Hamlin, it doesn't make any sense. You have Josh Allen. I mean, I guess you have Stephon Diggs, but like half of Stephon Diggs because Stephon Diggs is terrible. Um, but you have Josh Allen, a guy who could get that first down on his feet or through the air, and you put out the punt team out there and you decide to snap it to Damar Hamlin on a fake punt to try to get a first down in your own end with probably who was it? McCole Hardman who fumbled out the end zone. If it wasn't for McCole Hardman fumbling out the end zone, that game would have been over. Right then and there. Whenever the Chiefs scored that second touchdown. But luckily for you, you got the fumble that went out the end zone. That now is a touchback, which that rule should be changing soon. Do I think it's a good rule or a bad rule? I don't know. It's been a rule for a while now, and I've kind of just went with it just cause. But I mean, the more you think about it, it doesn't make a lot of sense for the team to just lose possession of the ball. Maybe it sets them back a little bit, or maybe they just lose the down. But I don't know about them completely losing possession of the ball. What do you think?
Uh, I think that they shouldn't lose possession of the ball because I mean it's their ball and all it was a fumble basically out of bounds,
Mm-hmm.
and like making it a fumble out of bounds in the end zone,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean that it should go to the other team because it's out of bounds, like the ball is going out of bounds.
Yeah.
um and they should be, I think the ball should be replayed to the spot that the down was at, not
Yeah.
just like not just the other team gets the ball automatically at the 20. That makes no sense at all.
Yeah, for sure. I think it doesn't make much sense for them to just lose the ball like that. Um, but yeah, I mean the Bills, that was terrible coaching on their part for that fourth down. And then, whenever they were driving down the field and the field kicker just missed that field goal kick, it's unfortunate. But I had a feeling he was gonna miss it. He had been going right a little bit, and we were watching it somewhere, and somebody was like, you know, this is gonna tie the game. They're gonna go to overtime. I'm like, but is he even gonna make the kick? And on top of that, you have Patrick Mahomes on the other side with plenty of time to drive down the field. But he missed it, and that didn't even matter.
Yeah, that Bills kicker is definitely gonna go find employment at probably like a McDonald's or something, cause he's definitely not getting his job back after those. He missed two extra points that game, or two field goal kicks, I think, that game.
Yeah.
They those two field goal kicks could have put them up by two, but he missed both of them.
Mhm.
Which was bad. And I believe the Bills should have won that game if it wasn't for their kicker.
Yeah, but we're pretty concise with that the Ravens are gonna beat the Chiefs here, right?
Yeah.
And then
Black hole sun. Yeah, we believe in Captain L'America, Lamar Jackson,
yeah,
my Lord
man,
and Savior.
Lamar Jackson. I've always kind of rooted for Lamar Jackson a little bit. I probably wouldn't have rooted for him if he was in the NFC, but I always kind of rooted for him because he was a cool player. But I just think that the Ravens are a better team. The Chiefs are still a great team. Still have Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, Rashid Rice, right? Rashid Rice, Chris Jones. The defense is viable for the most part, but man, this Ravens team is crazy. Lamar Jackson's insane. Regardless of who they put in the backfield to run the ball, you're getting yards from it. The receivers always find themselves open somehow, even though they're not like these top of the line crazy receivers. And you're having Mark Andrews back, and Mark Andrews is top three tight end in the league.
It's just they don't have any star receivers. I mean, unless you count Odell Beckham a star still. I don't think he's a star. He's an average receiver now.
Yeah.
But it's really because of their offensive coordinator and the plays that he draws up for them.
Mhm.
He knows that Lamar Jackson is a dual threat on his legs and with his arm.
Yeah.
With him being able to throw on the run also.
Yeah.
Uh, but Lamar Jackson, his story is special from him being passed up until the 32nd pick, and the Ravens trading up to get him
Mhm.
for the last pick in the first round. That's and him promising to win a Super Bowl for them. That's really cool.
Yeah, and then he's probably gonna be more than likely to hear a two-time MVP. Uh, and it looks like from what we think that he's gonna be keeping his promise. But so as far as this Lions 49ers game, it's pretty much a toss-up. I have no guarantee on who's gonna win, but I'll let you have the final say on which side we're picking.
Jared Goff is gonna win the game
Oh,
for the
Willy
Detroit
Wonka?
Lions.
Okay, Willy Wonka's going to win the game. And I'm okay with that because, like I said, if the 49ers lose now, even better for me. But I also don't like the Lions uh, because I said so. And then we would have the Ravens winning the Super Bowl. But we're going to obviously redo that again next week whenever we know who does win these games. And we'll have the official Super Bowl matchup. But going off of this, let's talk about FC Dallas real quick. Now, usually it's just me talking about FC Dallas a little bit, and George and Xavier don't really know much about it, but Carson enjoys FC Dallas quite a bit, and over this past year has gotten a lot more interested into FC Dallas. So I'll let him talk about it.
FC Dallas completely dominated Lionel Messi, Suarez, Jordi Alba, and Sergio Busquets this game.
I wouldn't call it dominated if
They
you're looking at the stats.
dominated them. Okay, Jesus Ferreira hit that opening goal, a sweet little goal through the defender's legs to get it through 1-0 in the 3rd minute of the game. And then the back line just savagely tearing apart Lionel Messi on every single attack.
And Luis
Suarez couldn't
Suarez,
do
yeah.
anything. Okay, Messi was 1-on-1 with the greatest goalkeeper of our time, Martin Paez, from the Dutchman
The Dutchman, the
himself.
Flying Dutchman.
He saved it. What a beautiful save. Messi tried to put it in the right side of the net, and he read it like a picture book. Suarez was celebrating already, and then he has like 10 shots in his feet. So like he didn't know what was happening. He couldn't feel his feet at all. That's why he was probably doing bad. I don't know
Yeah.
why he's even on the team. He should retire already.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Luis Suarez didn't have the best game personally. I think that he looked a little bit iffy. He's definitely not got the speed that he's used to. Um, and yeah, Messi missed that one-on-one chance with Pice. That was just an incredible save from Pice. It was a well-placed shot from Messi, but Pice had a better save. You know, sometimes the save is better than the shot, and that was one of those times that the save was even better than the incredible shot. So I wouldn't agree that FC Dallas dominated. I think FC Dallas was on the back foot a lot. A lot of these shots and the shots on target from FC Dallas came on fast breaks for the most part, not really build up because Inter Miami was pushing a lot for a goal because they haven't scored a goal with this group yet. I think they went against El Salvador. They didn't have a goal. Now they're going against FC Dallas. They didn't have a goal. So I wouldn't say it's concerning. It's preseason. It's friendlies. Maybe Messi's not giving his best. Maybe Suarez isn't giving his best because he has all those shots in his knees and he can't even walk. But for the most part, if I was an Inter Miami fan, I wouldn't be concerned at all. But if I was an FC Dallas fan, I'd be pretty excited, like Carson is, about beating Inter Miami because at the end of the day, this is still Luis Suarez, Messi, Busquets, and Jordi Alba that you're playing against, and getting a pretty good result against. And Jesus Ferreira went down pretty early in the game, so you didn't have your best player out there for the most part. But speaking of Jesus Ferreira, what do you think about that Russia situation that happened?
I think even though we could have been blessed with him going to Russia and us having to find a new striker, um, I think he still could help this FC Dallas team win an MLS Cup. To be honest, I don't think he's as bad as I slander his name a lot. We all do because he misses wide open chances a lot.
Yeah.
But I think with him being the face of FC Dallas and him having um a Champions League winner on his team,
Mm-hmm.
Iara Mendy,
A lot of Mendy.
the greatest center defense mid of all time. Of course,
Man, he's actually pretty good. Whenever I was watching him play in the game, I personally think that he should have the captain's armband, not Paul Areola, because that's who had the captain's armband, right? Paul Areola. Paul Areola is so mid, dude. He's so mid. And I feel like, you know, that Iardi, or however you say his name, um, has been a great presence, a veteran presence. Somebody who has experience in the top clubs in Europe and top competitions, and is somebody who should be that voice, that leader in the team and in the locker room, because not only does he have the skill, he has the experience. So I think that needs to be our captain going forward, but that's obviously not up to me.
Yeah, I don't think Areola should have that armband, especially with how he played. Even though he did get a couple balls through on the breaks that we had, um, I think the Dutchman in the net should have the armband. To be honest, he is really saving us whenever they get past our defense. Even though that's rare, because FC Dallas has a top three defense in the MLS. To be honest, the back line is great here in Dallas.
Yeah.
The Dutchman just saves the balls that even the hard balls to save that are like in the upper corners. He gets there because he's just like he's the greatest to ever have the gloves on. You know.
Yeah, and as much as Jesus Ferreira's praised around here, a common theme for this team in the past 2 years is the struggle and attack. The back line and the goalie has always been good this year, this last year and this year before, but the attack has always been a problem, especially since Pepe left. Um, Ferreira hasn't been able to handle it on his own because the reality of it is that Jesus Ferreira is not a nine. He's a 10. At times, he's a winger, but he doesn't have that nine presence, especially in the box, to be able to perform. And that's clear because even here, Jesus Ferreira didn't start as the nine. It was another striker that we have that also didn't play very well at all. But that's because playing Jesus Ferreira at the nine isn't optimal. Playing him in the wing and allowing him to cut in, that's great. He has the pace for it. He has decent technique for it, and he can make the shot. But playing him as a nine, I don't think is the right call ever.
Yeah, and in the regular season, this attacking is gonna be nasty. I think with Kamungo heading into his best years for sure. I think coming up,
Yeah.
he's gonna be a big role. I think that we should have gotten rid of someone on our team and replaced them or re-signed O'Brien because O'Brien was a very pacey attacker and could easily get through any defense in the MLS with no problem at all.
Yeah, I thought that O'Brien was very well. I mean, I think we even saw O'Brien score whenever we went to the playoff game. He was an immediate presence whenever he went onto the field, and Jesus Ferreira wasn't. I think Jesus Ferreira made the penalty kick, which was a well taken penalty kick, but other than that, he wasn't really a presence in the game itself. He disappeared a lot of the times, and when he did get the ball, he wouldn't do much with it. But yeah, I think the priority here for FC Dallas is definitely signing a striker, and I would say looking for another midfielder or center back. I think for the most part, you're good on the wings. You're obviously good at goal, but I think one center back and a striker would be your highest priority, and it would be cool to get another midfielder in. But with Mendy and with Pax, which who didn't play this game, I'm not really sure. Do you know what's going on with Pax?
No, I just don't think that um the our manager believes in him for some reason because he doesn't start many games. Even in the regular season last season, he never really started.
Mm-hmm.
But Pax is definitely one of our best, probably our best midfielder, other than Ira Yaramendi.
Yeah.
Other than him, Pax is definitely our best midfielder. To be honest, he should start. I don't know why our manager has a problem with him starting. Maybe he thinks he's too smart or something. But Pax is definitely a great midfielder. He brings creativity to this uncreative front attack.
Yeah.
Um, but Kamungo, I believe in Kamungo Ferreira and Areola to do something this season for sure.
Yeah, I think that if he stays, Jesus Ferreira, if Jesus Ferreira stays, then we'll be good. But I think if Jesus Ferreira goes, you have no option but to sign another striker and another striker who's gonna be an immediate presence. Who that's gonna be, where that's gonna be from, I have no idea. But if you're selling Jesus Ferreira, you should have more than enough money to be able to go and sign somebody and you're gonna have another designated player position that you can pay him big money. Because a lot of the times in this league in MLS, those DP spots go to attackers. That's the reality of it, you know. So the DP spot we're gonna open up with Ferreira should be immediately filled with another striker that's going to bring not only attention to FC Dallas, because I think FC Dallas needs a little bit more attention to bring more people into the stadium, but so that the team can also perform. Because what this team looks like still, and every year it's looked like, is a first or second round exit and nothing more than that. Getting to the playoffs in the MLS isn't hard, but getting to win the playoffs is something that this FC Dallas team doesn't look like it's able to do right now. So they need that nine presence that's going to give them goals on a nightly basis. And I think that Kumungo is also going to be a big part of that, like Carson said. Kumungo is going to have a good season, be a for sure starter. And I think he's going to hopefully, because I really like him, Carson really likes him. I hope he makes a name for himself. And he's somebody who's known like Jesus Ferreira is as an FC Dallas fan. So,
Yeah, um I want Kamungo to have a story just like Ricardo Pepi had, where he came from FC Dallas and now he's playing in the top five league in the world at PSV.
mm-hmm.
Um, Kamungo is just like he's a player that came in and he let his presence be felt on the wing. Like he's just a great winger.
Yeah.
He knows what to do, even though he's playing with sorry yeah Ferreira. He had to carry the load. Um, Whenever we went to the games last season, he was doing great on the wing. He goes on breaks a lot because
Yeah.
he's pacey like that, and he has a good build to him. He's a big pacey winger.
What?
He's a big pacey winger.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think going to the C Dallas game, the most exciting part of the game that always had you on your edge of your seat was when Kamungo had the ball, because you knew something special could happen at any moment. But yeah, I mean, going off of FC Dallas, we're gonna go on to the team that actually had a game today that just finished recently, and that's FC Dallas. I mean, not FC Dallas, the Dallas Stars. We were just talking about the Dallas Stars. And I'm wearing a Dallas Stars sweater. They call it. They also call it a jersey, but I think they call it a sweater for the most part. Of Jason Robertson, my favorite player. But yeah, I mean, what do you? I know that you don't watch the Dallas Stars much, but what do you know about the Dallas Stars coming from an outsider standpoint, really?
I know that Jake Ottinger is the greatest goalkeeper to ever be in net for any
NHL.
NHL
Mm-hmm.
franchise. He's he's just the best, you know, like in the playoffs, he does great. I think he had like the most saves in a single game or something like that.
I think he had the second most saves in a playoff game.
Yeah, and what game recently did he literally save the Stars from losing? Because they had like 40 shots in net and the Stars had like 10 and going into the third half.
Oh, well, it's not the Philadelphia Flyers game because that happened against the Philadelphia Flyers. The game was like 2-1 going into the third period, and the Stars only had 10 shots, but the Stars ended up losing like 5-1. So I don't think that's a great example. I mean, he did keep him in the game for a really long time, but yeah, I don't know. You might be talking about another game, but that's the game most recently where the Stars just got shut down.
Well, he tried his best. I mean, I know that Jamie Benn has been there for like 10 years or something like that, and he's
Yeah,
a great captain. Ever since he
yeah,
was young, he was a great leader. I remember playing the games and him always being standing on my main menu. I
yeah.
remember that. I know that Robertson has no playoff presence.
Okay,
He rarely scores in the playoffs.
that was just last playoffs.
Uh, Tyler Seguin is he's a great, what is he, an attacker?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great attacker. Uh, One of my favorite players didn't get re-signed or something like that. The dude that was missing his two front teeth, the defender. Uh,
What's his name?
I don't know his name, bro. Hold up.
I think Heiskanen's also missing his two front teeth, but Heiskanen's still here. But I don't think you're talking about Heiskanen. Um, they're not talking about Lindell because Lindell's still on the team. I swear we talked about this like a month ago too. Who is it? Are you gonna find it? While you're looking for it, I'm gonna talk a
Hold
little
up,
bit
bro. Hold
about.
up, bro. Like you're glazing me right now, bro.
I can't talk about the game while you're looking for it.
Yeah, talk about the game, dude.
Okay, so I watched the first two periods of this game. The Capitals came out, scored first. Stars responded with back-to-back goals within like 30 seconds of each other, and then in the second period, for the most part, it was pretty even. Um, the Stars scored later in the second period. The Capitals had initially tied it, um, and then obviously in the third, the Capitals went on to tie the game again, and we went into overtime. And I think for me, this game shouldn't have gone to overtime. I think we should have won this game. We had a pretty strong hold of the game after the first period, and in the second period, we still had the lead. I think we should have definitely kept the lead in the third. Uh, I think that even in this game, that we needed a little bit more out of Jake Ottinger. Jake Ottinger had a good game. We won the game, but I want to see a Jake Ottinger signature performance again. Like he was talking about, like that playoff performance that he had, where he is the reason we won the game. A gritty 2-1 win or 2-0 win that just makes an absolute statement about this guy is a top three goalie in all of the NHL, which we know he can be. I don't fault him because of him coming back from his injury, uh, but I think that he does need to be getting a little bit more into that. You know, I am one of the best in the league in my position. Somebody who I think has been doing a fantastic job of doing that is Duchesne. Duchesne has been an incredible signing. He's somebody that we absolutely need to re-sign to come back next year as well. And two other people that I think have been fantastic, two young guys, is Wyatt Johnston and Harley. Fantastic. You can't ask more from these young players. They're scoring points on a nightly basis. I mean, Harley had 2 goals in this game. Crazy from a defenseman. I think he's top 5 in goals from a defenseman in the NHL. So you can't ask more from him. And he's so young, and so is Wyatt Johnson. And it's just incredible seeing that these young guys, the future of our team, when Jamie Benn's going out the door, when Tyler Sagan's going out the door, when Joe Pavelski's probably out the door in a year or two, these guys are going to be the heart of the team. Robertson, Hintz, Hardy, Johnston, these are going to be the new household names. It's not going to be Jamie Benn and Tyler Sagan anymore. So I'm really happy. Oh, and Jake Ottinger. Jake Ottinger's pretty young too. Um, but I'm really happy with how the young development and progression is going for this team, knowing that our relevancy isn't just gonna be till Jamie Benn and Tyler Sagan walk out the door. It's gonna be much longer than that, and we're gonna be competitive hockey team chasing Stanley Cups for the next 10, 15 years, as long as we can keep these guys here. Because there's a big chance that they decide to leave, but I feel like there's a pretty good chance that these guys are going to stay around for a long time.
The greatest defender of all time.
Oh, and Heiskanen too. Heiskanen is fantastic. You can't talk about the Dallas Stars without talking about Heiskanen.
His name was John Klingberg.
Klingberg, that's the one.
Top 5 defender all time. His face was always on TV. I remember him only because of his teeth and how much less teeth he had than a regular human being.
Yeah.
Uh, I remember him making stops whenever the Stars went to the playoffs and who they lose against the Blues.
Last year,
Nah, it was like two years ago or 3 years ago.
I think 3 years ago they lost to the Blues in the bubble. Last 2 years, I think they lost to the Golden Knights in the playoffs.
It was whenever they lost to the Blues that season. Uh, I would see Klingberg's face a lot. He made stops. I actually didn't know that he wasn't on the team last year either.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
they let go of him going into the 2022 season.
Mm-hmm.
So his last season was actually the only one that I watched him for
Mm-hmm.
on the Stars.
So now looking at the division and the conference here, the Stars are now equal in games played with the Avalanche, 1 point behind. This is exactly where I wanted us to be. I wanted to end the into the All Star break with 2 wins, put us 1 point behind of the Avalanche. But now, Winnipeg has 3 games in hand, and they are 1 point behind us. So really, what we need is them to at least drop one of these games, because if they win all these games, they get 6 points. They're at 71 points, and we're 5 points behind them, which is gonna be terrible for us. Luckily for us, they've been kind of in a bad spell, 2 losses in a row. So hopefully that can stay for a little bit longer to keep us in that position that that top seed is really, really, really close. But it's a competitive division. It's a competitive conference. I think that the high end of the Eastern Conference is a different story compared to the high end of the Western Conference, because the high end of the Eastern Conference is the Boston Bruins, which are a crazy team, uh, best team in the league right now, you could say. But this is for sure a very, very competitive. I think that the East is very top heavy, but this is a very, very balanced top heavy, not top, a very balanced conference where anybody can have that 1 seed and anybody can win that division at this point in time. I mean, just looking at the Central Division, you have 3 teams in contention for that number 1 spot. And looking at the Pacific Division, you have 2 teams in contention for that. So I think that the Stars, and I will continue to say this, have a great chance at getting into the Stanley Cup this year, have a great chance of being a high seed, and have a great chance of making an insane playoff run. But they have to keep a roll. They cannot begin to lose. They cannot begin to skid, especially after this All Star break. You need to start catching fire going into the playoffs, because if you go into the playoffs cold, nothing's gonna happen for you, and you're not gonna have that magical run like they did in the bubble, because they caught fire and they won and won and won. And with the Russian juggernaut and net in the bubble, um, that was just a recipe for success, because a lot of the teams, the hot team is gonna beat the better cold team, you know? Because if a team is cold and you can't score and your goalie can't save anything, you're not gonna win anything regardless of how good your team looks on paper. So
Can we talk about going into the All Star game in the NBA? Can we talk about the NBA and some people that I believe should have been in the All Star game?
yeah, for sure, go for it.
So first off, Steph Curry is like he's the most washed point guard I've ever seen fall off in the NBA, and he does not deserve to be an All Star starter. Tyrese Halliburton is a top 2 point guard in the league. Him and Luke are the greatest point guards in
But
the
Curry isn't a
league.
starter,
I know.
so you're saying it's deserved that he's not a starter?
Yes, Curry's trash.
Okay, just
Curry,
making sure.
Damian Lillard deserve that spot over Curry too. Damian Lillard has been hooping over there.
Well, Damian
At
Lillard's in the East, Curry's in the West.
Look at this kid, bro. You hear this kid, bro?
I'm just letting you know.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean Tyrese Halliburton. I meant
Shea
Shea
Gilgeous-Alexander,
Gilgeous
the free throw
Alexander.
merchant. You saw that
I
that
guess he's a free
the
throw
you saw that
merchant.
the no
Okay.
the
No,
two
no, 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 no.
there
Hey,
is a
hey,
two
shut
minute
up,
a two
bro.
minute video on Twitter of him just at the free throw line hitting that pre ritual for the free throw animation over and over again for 2 minutes straight. That's how many free throws he's shot. Anyways, go on. Keep going.
So, Steph Curry's a fraud. Okay. We're going to look
Mm-hmm.
at these All Star snubs, and I'm going to tell you if I think that they're snubs and if I don't think they're snubs by ESPN, all right? So, Donovan Mitchell being an All Star snub. I do not believe Donovan Mitchell is an all-star snub. He hasn't led Cavs to nothing. I don't believe so. I know that they're doing great over there, but I see Evan Mobley more as a leader over there than I see Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Mobley is a very good young talent. He's gonna be one of the big man faces of the NBA
Mm-hmm.
very soon. If not, he already is. You know. Um. All right. Next, we got Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard definitely is an All Star snub. He should be in the All Star game until he retires. To be honest, he's one of the greatest perimeter defenders to ever pick up a basketball and ever see a basketball. So he was snubbed for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, Jalen Brunson, the biggest All Star snub I've seen yet on this list, to be honest. And I mean, I've gone through the whole list already, and this is the biggest one. Jalen Brunson deserves to be an All Star starter, no matter what anyone says. All right,
Mm-hmm.
he's been carrying the load over there at New York. He's been having these big games. And I'm sad that the Mavericks didn't re-sign him, even though the Knicks kind of cheated over there.
They did cheat. They didn't kind of cheat. They did cheat.
Yeah, they deserve to lose that first round pick that they did lose.
I think they only lost a second actually. It should have been a first. It should have been multiple first. But yeah. Yes, I agree. I think that for sure Jalen Brunson was Jalen Brunson a reserve at least. Do you know?
Nah, hold up. Nah, I think he literally didn't make the team at all. That's why he's a snub. Cause what I'm
Did
looking
you
at
check?
doesn't show. It doesn't show on here, right, bro?
Why aren't you? Why
You're
aren't
you're
you
on a whole
checking?
computer, bro. Check it right now.
I'm looking for it. Keep talking to the people.
Steph Curry. Steph
Oh
Curry
my goodness.
and Chris Paul are the worst NBA duo. They need to trade Chris Paul. They need to trade Steph Curry. They need to let Kuminga be the face of the Warriors. Kuminga is the most athletic human being on the Warriors, like top 5 in the world probably.
Mm-hmm.
His growth. He's definitely most improved. I'm not gonna lie. He's most improved this year. He has way better handles. I don't know what they showed him in the offseason, maybe some money or something like that
Mm-hmm.
to make him play like this. But with that game recently, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago probably, that Curry had the ball and there was 3 seconds left
Mm-hmm.
and he got locked up. Locked up. I mean, he got the ball. He turned it over with 3 seconds left. He's not clutch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Curry's ever been clutch. He is a sorry guard now. Chris Paul should start over him. Like, I'm not even lying.
Not even lying.
Not even lying. Steph Curry is a bum. Okay. Um, Kaminga he's just the better. I think Kaminga should have had the ball in his hands right there. Him and Kaminga were leading in scoring that game,
Mm-hmm.
and the only reason he was leading is because he chunks up these shots that shouldn't go in. But like, he's blessed or something. I don't understand. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, Kaminga over there and at the Warriors. Like I had his 2K card in 2K21, and he was crazy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I knew he was gonna be something big. That's why I started him on my team, you know.
All right. So I don't think the reserves are out yet, but yeah, I think that Jalen Brunson should have started over Damian Lillard without a doubt in my
A
mind.
hundred percent.
I think that Tyrese Halliburton is fine. Jason Tatum is fine. Joel Embiid's fine. Giannis is fine. LeBron. I don't. I think LeBron's fine as a starter, but I think that I think the captain should be Jokic or Doncic. Those two are the better players at this moment. But LeBron's LeBron. He's gonna get a million billion votes from everybody because he's the glorious king. So LeBron's fine. KD's fine. Jokic obviously fantastic. Jokic is Doncic is fine, and Shai Alexander is fine by me. But as far as reserves, let's look at this ESPN post. Who do you think on this list should be in the reserves or not?
So Jalen Brunson's he's a reserve lock. Bam is a reserve lock. Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Edwards should be a starter.
Anthony Edwards. is so good, dude. Anthony Edwards can literally fly, and you can't tell me any different. I just see him floating. It's crazy. What?
All right, Devin Booker. Even though I hate him. Like I hate like his face. I hate his hair. I hate his beard.
The most punchable face in the NBA. Can you believe he bagged Kendall Jenner?
Anyone can bag Kendall Jenner at
That's not
this
true.
point, bro. Like
Well, any NBA player.
any NBA player can bag Kendall Jenner. You just gotta be in the NBA and have a contract.
Mhm.
Steph Curry's a bot, so nah, he's not on the reserves.
Mhm.
But Anthony Davis and Anthony Edwards are carrying the load at their teams. Even though LeBron is great, he's a top 20 player in the league still. I believe that with everything in my like. I don't like LeBron at all, but I know LeBron is a top 20 player in the league still. Uh, and yeah, off this list, that's Jalen Brown does not deserve to be a reserve. He's a bum. He doesn't have a left hand.
Mhm.
He's not clutch. He's not anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, Donovan Mitchell does deserve it though, even though he doesn't deserve to be a starter.
Mhm.
He's a bottom of the barrel reserve. Trey Young
Okay.
is a bottom of the barrel
Nah, Trey Young. I don't
reserve.
think Trey Young even gets reserve. I think out of everybody on this list, I think the least deserving the reserve would be Trey Young. Trey Young is good, but like I said, Trey Young. If there's 6 tiers in the NBA, Trey Young's second tier and probably in the lower end of it, which is probably the reserves tier. But yeah, I would say that everybody here is good, but Trey Young. I think Trey Young is the only person that I wouldn't put in my reserves. What,
Nah, Steph Curry does not
bro?
deserve to be a reserve.
Steph Curry has been fine. You know how many
Hell
reserves
no.
there are?
Look at Steph Curry's record right now and look at the points he's dropped in the
There's
past
like
five
7
games.
reserve spots or something like that.
He hasn't dropped a 30-point game. I think well he drops a 30-point game like a lot
How
of
many points do you
times.
think? Let's look. How many points do you think Steph Curry averages?
I think Steph Curry averages 27 points.
Damn, Steph Curry's 35. He averages 26.8,
Steph Curry from averaging 32 or like 30 something a game.
and he only plays 33 minutes a game average.
He's not good, bruh.
I don't know if that's including like his not
Look
playing.
at him look at these numbers, bro. 3 for 9 from the 3,
Bro, he
4
shoots
for
40%
12.
from three, 44%. Well, 44% from the field's not very good. He shoots 40% from three though. He averages 5 assists a game, 27 points almost. And then who did you say was deserving on this list?
Jalen Brunson or
Oh yeah, Jalen Brunson, no doubt.
Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards. Let's see what Anthony Edwards averages, which I think Anthony Edwards should be a reserve as well. But let's
He
see.
averages 30. 30.
Anthony he averages 25, 45% from the field, 37% from
But
three,
Go to Curry. Look up
5
Curry
rebounds,
stats.
5 assists. What are you looking at?
Yeah, look at that. Anthony Edwards doesn't chunk up threes like Curry, all right? So he shoots 45%. Steph Curry shoots 44% because he's a bum. He's a bum, okay? Look at this. Like, look at the other averages, though. He averages 5, 5, 1, and point 0.5. Steph Curry averages 4, 4, point 0.8, and point 0.4. You know, like, averaging by one more is a big
I
difference.
think you're just being a hater of Steph Curry. I think you're just hating on Steph Curry.
Look at the Warriors record,
This is
dude.
terrible though. 2 for 14, 4 for 13. That was
The
pretty bad.
Warriors probably lost every single one of these games. Like that's how bad that it is over there.
He's having a good year.
He's having a good year.
He's having,
Bro, Klay
he's having
Thompson is
good
a
year.
bum, bro. Klay
Klay Thompson is a
Thompson
bum.
is the biggest. There's no Splash Bros over there anymore. They're just the bros now. No splashing them.
Just the bros. Yeah. All right. I think your shenanigans have gone far enough. Steph Curry definitely deserves to be a reserve. Okay.
Steph Curry's not All Star worthy anymore.
I think we've spent enough time yapping to y'all, for whoever cared to listen to us for this long, which should be all of y'all, if I'm being honest. or at least in parts. Listen to the first half and then listen to the next half at another time of the day. You know, you maybe I for sure can't sit down and listen to something for just an hour straight. So listen to the 30 minutes, go do something, and then listen to 30 minutes at another time. Anyways, you want to sign us off? Or you want me to do it? Are you mewing the camera?
All right, you sign us off, bro.
All right, so this has been Downtime Re Up. If you enjoyed Carson being here, leave a like. If you're coming from Carson's socials, because he's posting this on his socials, make sure to post it on your socials too and add us so that people can come watch. Thank you for watching. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, downtime underscore re up, and we will talk to you next week. Peace out.